Hello, Giants fans. It's offseason report number 2. The last time I talked to you guys, I was right after the Odell Beckham trade. Obviously, I was not in a good mood back then, and rightfully so, like most of us were. But here we are. We have some new free agent signings to go over, some re-signings that we have. We even re-signed Cody Latimer just a couple of hours ago, so that's definitely a positive. I think he was a fan favorite based off the comments that I read about him. So there's some stuff to talk about. Let's get into it real quick with the off-season free agent signings. So our first signing, and this actually happened the day of the Odell trade, but I obviously really didn't talk about it much, was signing Antoine, Bethea, the veteran safety, for a 2-year contract, $6.5 million. It was a signing that you can kind of see coming. The Cardinals released him, I think, a couple weeks ago. This is something Dave Gettleman would do, is get rid of Landon Collins and then bring in a guy 10 years older. But it's not that bad under the circumstances. Like Bethea is still a pretty productive player after watching all of his film, not all of it, but most of his film, making the highlight film and all that kind of stuff. He's still a productive player, an above average safety in this league. We now have 3 pretty good safeties if you include Michael Thomas along with Jabril Peppers, so that really answers the whole safety question. Was after Landon Collins left, like, who was going to play safety for this team? So now we got 3 guys in here: Jabril Peppers from the Odell trade, Bethea from the free agency, and then Michael Thomas, who we had last year as well. So it could be worse. I like Jabril Peppers a lot. I think he's going to be a really good player one day. He's not there yet, obviously. Like I do think, I was arguing with some people, I think Landon Collins is better right now because Landon Collins is really good at the things he's really good at, if that makes any sense. Like, Landon Collins obviously has issues in coverage, but it's not like Jabril Peppers is the perfect player either, but I think he'll get there one day. He's only 23 years old. Sky's the limit for him, so hopefully he can turn into a great safety. And playing alongside a guy like Antoine Bethea will definitely help. He's been around the block, obviously. Could still play at a high level, I hope. We'll see what happens next year, but can't be mad at the signing. It's only 2 years, $6.5 million, so it is what it is. Wish it was more of a younger player, but Bethea can still get it done. And as I said, he's still an above average safety, so I'm fine with this. And up next is a signing that really caught me off guard. It's Golden Tate, the former Lions, Seahawk, and Eagles receiver for half a year last year. They signed him for pretty big contract, 4 years, $37.5 million. The good news is they can get out of it after 2 years if for some reason it doesn't work out. But I really do think it will work out. I really love Golden Tate as a player. I even made a highlight film video of him about a year ago when he was still in the Lions. He's always been one of my favorite players because, he's small, he's crazy elusive, his yards after catch is insane. The things he can do with the ball make defenders look silly. He's no Odell Beckham. They have different games. Obviously, Odell Beckham's a lot more explosive, but for a possession receiver, Golden Tate's as good as it gets. Very short-handed, can make all the tough catches. There's some catches he made in his career where he just gets blown up and then still holds onto the ball somehow. So he's like a quarterback's best friend because they could just make a short pass, and then Golden Tate makes a few guys miss, and then all of a sudden he's down the field for 20 yards and even can take it 60 yards for a touchdown. He's got that kind of ability. But the thing is, the Giants are supposedly a rebuilding team, and here we are signing this receiver who's 31 years old. They're going to be 31 years old by the season starts for 4 years, $37 million. So that doesn't make too much sense. Like, I love Golden Tate, the player, but I don't really love this move necessarily for this team. I think he'll be productive for us, and he'll do some good things in New York. He did grow up a Giants fan, which is cool, so I like that he gets to play for his favorite team growing up. But, from a Giants fan's perspective, it really doesn't make much sense. But this is like the whole issue I have with Gettleman once again. This always goes back to Dave Gettleman and his decision making. Is he's saying that, like, when you rebuild, you don't have to lose. You can still compete while rebuilding. And that really doesn't make much sense to me. Like, there's teams that do it. We saw the Jaguars rebuild for years. They, kept accumulating great defensive players. And then a year ago came out of nowhere, had a great season, made the playoffs, and were very close to a Super Bowl appearance with Blake Bortles as a quarterback. We saw it with the Browns as well. They sucked for years and years. How many first overall picks did the Browns have? They eventually got it right by having Baker Mayfield, Myles Garrett, a bunch of other talented players, even including Jabril Peppers was in there. But eventually you accumulate so much talent from being bad that eventually your team turns good. It's just, human nature. It happens. So I really don't get what Gettleman's doing with this whole, this is a rebuild, but we're still trying to win. That doesn't really make much sense to me. Like, if you're a New York Knicks fan, I'm sure a lot of you, who watch this are Knicks fans or basketball fans or whatever. The Knicks are doing it right. They're really, really trying to suck. They're trying to lose games on purpose. They actually beat the Lakers today, so that kind of sucks for them. But they're trying to be the worst team in the league to tank for Zion or R.J. Barrett, whoever they want first overall. That's the way you're supposed to do it. The way the Knicks are doing it. I don't think the Giants going 6-10 or 7-9 is going to be anything great for us next year because there are great quarterbacks in 2020. I'm not sure what they're doing at quarterback right now, but obviously they're sticking with Eli. But next year with the quarterback situation, if the Giants go 6-10, 7-9, and pick in the middle of the draft, then shit, you have to trade a bunch of picks to move up in the draft. So if the Giants are planning on sucking next year, I want to go all in for sucking. Like I don't want to go 6-10, 7-9, 8-8, miss the playoffs, and then jeopardize a pick. I think right now this is a 5 or 6 win roster. So right now we have nothing to worry about, but the draft hasn't even happened yet, obviously, so we'll see what happens with that. But Golden Tate overall, love him as a player. I hope he does some big things in New York. It's kind of weird because him and Shepard and Ingram are all their best in the slot. We'll see what happens. Shepard can play outside, but he's definitely his best when he's playing in the slot. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all works. And I'm really anxious to see how Pat Shurmur uses Golden Tate. I mean, Golden Tate's the kind of guy that you just want to give him the ball in space. I think Pat Shurmur's going to do a good job with that. Obviously, you don't want Eli Manning making, difficult throws anymore in this point in his career. So I think Golden Tate's going to be pretty widely used next year. So, for those of you involved in the fantasy football, the PPR leagues, I think Golden Tate's going to have a pretty eventful year at receiver next year for the Giants, so keep that in mind. Up next is another former Arizona Cardinal defender, 28 years old, had 12.5 sacks just a couple seasons ago. It's Marcus Golden, who plays defensive end or outside linebacker. I think it's changed over the last couple years. I'm not sure where they're going to use him. Probably linebacker if I had to guess. But they got a pretty good deal for him. I can't complain about this at all. It's kind of like a one-year prove-it type of deal. 1 year, just under $4 million. Obviously, he has not been as effective the last couple years as he was 3 years ago with James Bettcher, but I'm hoping that they can somehow resurge the old fire with Marcus Golden and make him into an effective defensive end or outside linebacker once again. But I just want to say that when I was watching his film or whatever, Marcus Golden's not one of those guys that blows you away, but he has a lot of energy, a lot of hustle. He's a good tackler, but just doesn't have those kind of moves to get by tackles and get to the quarterback. He does. He's a guy who relies on his strength a lot, but doesn't really have those finesse type of moves. So that's something I wish he was better at. But this is kind of what you get when you're paying $3 million for a free agent. But I think he could be an effective player for us in the right system. This is a system he thrived in just a few seasons ago. So I'm hoping this could be the right signing. The Giants obviously needed defensive depth, so this helps them a lot, and I do believe that in the draft they'll continue to work on this and find more pass rushers. And free agency isn't over yet, so they can still find more defensive players. But I think right now, adding a guy like Marcus Golden and Antoine Bethea, those are guys that they're going to help your defense. Not in the long run, but right now they should help a little bit, and it's going to put them in the right direction. So I like these moves. They didn't really break the bank for either of them. They shouldn't have anyway, but they didn't. So you can't really complain about these two signings as a Giant fan. And just to bring this all full circle, we'll go over some of the players that we brought back. I'm sure you guys know about most of these already. Cody Latimer, this is a new one. He did miss 10 games last year. They brought him back on a 1-year deal. I personally have no idea how much money it'll be. I can't imagine it'd be more than a couple million, but we'll see there. Spencer Pulley, the center, 3 years, $9 million. $9 million and change, I should say. Elijah Penny, fullback, 1 year, $600K and change. Jalapio, 1 year, $600K and change. Aldrich Rosas, same thing. And for some odd reason, Alex Tanney was brought back. 2 years, $2.1 million. I don't really get that one personally, but I'm not going to complain too much about it. It's $2.1 million, so it's whatever. So this is all, what we expected as Giant fans. A lot of us wanted Jamon Brown back. He's now on the Falcons, as I said last video. So that sucks, but at least we got Kevin Zeitler at right guard. So, that's a huge, huge improvement. Can't complain about that whatsoever. So I'm not sure. Kerry Wynn is still out there, by the way. I don't know what the hell they're doing with Kerry Wynn. I'd be pretty disappointed if they let him walk because he is effective at certain times. Hopefully they don't pull a whole Romeo Okwara type of thing where they let the guy walk for nothing and then he has 7-8 sacks next year and Dave Gettleman once again looks like an idiot. But And we still have time, so we'll see what happens with Kerry Wynn, but I hope they do bring him back eventually. So right now, this is our current depth chart, and I really no, this isn't that good of a team. I'm trying to convince myself otherwise, but offensively, this is not that bad of a team. For a team that just lost a top 3 receiver in football, this isn't that bad. I do have concerns with Eli Manning, obviously. Not even concerns. I straight up don't want him on the team. I've said this for over a year now. I mean, I'll just be honest with you guys. But offensively, it's not too bad. The offensive line outside of Chad Wheeler is not that bad at all, honestly. Will Hernandez should get better. I expect Evan Engram to be really good next year, because in games where Odell Beckham has missed. I put this on my Twitter. I wish I had it right now, but I'll post it for you guys. Like in the last 4 games that Engram played and Odell missed, Engram just went off. I think he had like over 70 yards in all those games. I think, he had a really big impact on the Giants offense. Saquon Barkley will be ran into the ground next year. I hope he's able to stay healthy throughout the whole rebuild because I'm really not sure. They added Golden Tate. Cody Latimer is back. Defensively, they signed a guy, Olsen Pierre, who played with the Cardinals. He had, I think, 5.5 sacks a couple years ago. He's like, nothing special, but just a depth player. Probably will compete with R.J. McIntosh, and I hope he can stay healthy. What else is new? Marcus Golden, linebacker. Cornerback Antonio Hamilton was brought back. I really don't think that's anything special. And then Antoine Bethea was added at safety. So right now, this is probably 4 or 5 win roster, if I had to guess. If somehow they could bring in the savior of this franchise, which would be Kyler Murray, in my opinion, that would be fantastic. I would be so optimistic about what this team can do. Maybe not next year, but for the future especially, I think Kyler Murray is going to be, a franchise-changing player, whether the Cardinals take him or if he somehow fell to us, which would be a miracle at 6. That would be amazing. But as I said, and I said this on Twitter as well, I think if I had to guess what Dave Gettleman's plan is, his quote-unquote plan, it's going to be whoever the Cardinals don't take is going to be our quarterback next year, I hope. I'm hoping that they take Kyler Murray and that we trade for Josh Rosen. I'm hoping they either pass on Kyler Murray, stick with Josh Rosen, and then we get Kyler Murray. That's what I'm hoping happens. I really do think that could be a possibility, and Dave Gettleman might have that mindset like, hey, they're not going to have Rosen and Murray on the same roster next year, so one of them is going to be available. So maybe Gettleman's going at it like that. But then in the event, this could backfire because I think John Gruden has a little crush on Kyler Murray, so maybe Derek Carr will be the Giants quarterback next year. I'll have to shoot myself. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. I'm very curious about the whole quarterback situation. Obviously, there's a lot of reports coming out the Giants have no interest in Dwayne Haskins. I don't think it's a fake report either because they really aren't doing much scouting on him at all. So for those who wanted Haskins, I apologize. I don't think it's going to happen. Maybe they're lying about the whole thing, but I do think this is a truthful report. I really don't see him being the Giants quarterback next year. They don't think he fits the team right now for what they want, whatever the hell that means. I really don't know. He's better than Eli Manning, though. Let's be honest. Come on. He's going to be better than Eli Manning, at least when he's 38 years old. But, I really hope somehow we acquire Rosen or draft Kyler. That would make me so much more optimistic for next year. Right now, I'm not really too positive on this team. As I said, 4 or 5 wins, but there's a lot of offseason left. There's a lot of draft picks to come, and we'll see what happens. So thanks for watching. As always, follow the Twitter. It's at Mike_NYY. If you want me to follow you back, just hit me up in the DMs and be like, hey, I watch your videos. Give me a follow back, something like that. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys next time. I'll probably do a video before the draft. I'm trying to think, what's today's date? It's March 18th. So I'll probably do maybe 1 or 2 more commentaries before the draft. I'll have to do some more research on who the Giants might take or who I want them to take, stuff like that. I said I'm preparing myself for the worst. I'm preparing for Daniel Jones at number 6, and we'll go up from there. If they take Daniel Jones number 6, I don't know what I'm going to do. I really don't. I don't know. I'm going to be speechless, honestly. Hopefully it doesn't come down to that. Hopefully they get Kyler Murray or Josh Rosen, and then I'll be a happy Giants fan for once. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time.